name is Jim Kerr, and I'm one of the adult instructors here at the gallery. I'm going to talk about color and color mixing today, and I'm going to start with what they call a color wheel. Some of you will probably be familiar with it, but others won't. But I'm going to start with that and talk about it as we go along. So what I've got here is I usually leave my brushes on my napkin here, or like a rag or whatever you're using. I drag my brushes on it when I dip them in the water. That gives me an idea of how much water is in my brush. Watercolor throughout your whole watercolor career, then you're going to be wondering, how much water do I have in my brush? That's the main thing, because when you lay it down on your paper, if you got a ton of water, it goes like a big puddle, and then if you don't have enough water, then it goes really grainy. So you learn that after a while, and nobody can tell you how much water you've got in your brush. You have to figure that out yourself. So I've got two containers of water here. Yeah, you can see them. And I have two, so that if you get into trouble with watercolor and you put the wrong color, you go over something, then if you have a fresh container of water, then you can get your brush and kind of wash that off quickly, and hopefully you can save it. So that's one of the things why I have two containers of water. So you see, I drag my brush, and then that takes out moisture from my brush. With this, I'm pulling from the paint here. The paint is dry, but you can reconstitute it just with a bit of water, and you're going to get the strength of the pigment just as if you had wet color out here. Wet color is a lot stronger, so actually this is easier to work with when it dries. And so I'll get some red. I'm just going to start with one of these blocks. And if I put it fairly heavily on there, and then I just want some water on my brush, take some of the red up and come maybe about halfway, and I just want to pull that into the circle a little bit. So that's cerulean blue that I put on there, and then I'm going to use the medium yellow over here. Whoa, let's get more color there. And so you'll be familiar with these, because every kid's toy that's ever made uses these three colors. Now I'll do another wheel with the cold colors. These are the warm colors. So just kind of pulling it in to the center. Whoops. And I got green there because I didn't wash my brush in between. So that's kind of what you get when the range that you can do. You can have a solid color. One thing in watercolor is the paper is your white. That's what gives you the luminous quality of a watercolor. And so you have to remember that if you're going to want some lights or highlights, then you want to save your white. So that's one thing that we'll do once we start to do a little painting. So I've rearranged it just so that you can see what I'm doing with mixing the colors and putting them on the color wheel. So what I've done is I've taken some medium and some cerulean, mix them together, and you want a fairly strong mix there, and that way then you can see the green that you get. So I'm going to wash the brush out. Now I dry the brush, not thoroughly, but I dry the brush a little bit, so when I pull it out, it's not really adding too much water to this. It just makes it lighter. That's important to like say, I pull it out, and then by doing that, if I go over here and put it into the color, that's a ton of water that I'm adding, and you don't really need it. It makes it, what it does is water makes your color lighter. So you don't really want to add too much water to this, but I'm going to be adding water to it later. So there's my purple. Put it in the right spot this time up there. So there's purple, and I'm going to just wash it out, get some of the water out, and then pull that into the center so that you can just see what it does when it's a little lighter. And then now I want yellow and red. It's going to give me a nice orange, so how's that? So now I have a color wheel. I don't have to buy one, but I think it would be wise of you, if you're going to take classes or just work on your own, it's wise to have one just to help you know what the colors are and get really familiar with them. So that's using the primaries. This is using the warm colors here. So I want to put the paper down here, and this is 140-pound cold pressed paper. The lightest paper is 90-pound. And when you go to buy paper too, please don't buy anything in a Surlocks bound pad or even in a pad. There's a company called Arches, it's probably the longest company running, that makes watercolor paper, and they have pads of their paper, only it has been stretched. You can go into an art store and buy single sheets of this stuff and just cut it up. So I'm gonna try to mix some of these colors for you and just show you the results that you're going to get. Okay, we're going to do some mixing of some, get some grays, because gray colors, that's something that I get asked in classes regularly. How do I get gray? So we'll do some grays. And what I've got is, say with the, I'm going to start with the burnt umber. So it's kind of a darkish brown, and it's not my favorite, but I've been using it a lot in my paintings lately. So, and I ran out, so I guess I like it. But if you put blue with it, and that's ultramarine blue and burnt umber, and you have to watch the ratio when you play with this. I can't tell you what it is, like parts or anything, but you just kind of play with it until it's not too blue and it's not too brown. And so maybe that's it. So I've got a puddle like that, but if I take that, I'm going to just do it this way. I'm going to put some water here, take some of that, water in that anyway, and bring it over here, and you can see that it's a nice pearly gray, and that's it's a good combination for gray. I use you can use orange and green will give you pretty good gray. So let's try it and see. Got some green here. Green. It's kind of brown. This will turn it brown. You can see this is warm, and that's warm too. That color with the blue and the brown is pretty warm. If I made the green, I'll get some more green. And I'll add the burnt umber, so the dark. And put the burnt umber to it. You can see that that's a different looking gray, and it's kind of it's a greeny gray. So you pull it out and you see how when it gets lighter, it's still a gray, but it's got a green tone to it. So you can do that with all these colors, but what I would suggest you do is get yourself a color wheel, have a look, and get some primary colors. So you can go to the store and just buy 3 colors. That's all you need. Just put those 3 colors out and play with them. Now, the best thing to do also is have a pencil handy and label them, because if you do a bunch and you don't know what you did, you'll never know what you did. So it's better to label them, and then you'll get an idea of using the colors, names and stuff too. You'll get familiar with it. So I hope you enjoyed this segment on color mixing, and by all means try it at home because it's very valuable. If you enjoy it, catch us for the next segment, which is going to be on techniques and textures. If you join in, I'm sure you'll have a good time.